Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more details videos. Wimbledon. Mentally overwhelmed, Coco Gauff among many upset victims. July 2nd UPI. Coco Gauff was mentally overwhelmed before becoming one of the 23 seeded players who failed to win Wimbledon 2025 openers, setting a record for the grass court major and tying the mark for any Grand Slam in history. The top-ranked American, number 2, advanced to at least the quarterfinals in 5 of her last 7 majors, including her first French Open title, but lasted just 79 minutes in London. "I'm trying to be positive," Gauff told reporters with tears in her eyes. After the match, "I was definitely struggling in the locker room. I don't like losing. I'm sure my team and everyone is going to tell me I did well in Roland Garros and to not be so upset, but I really don't like losing." Number 42 Diana Yastremska of Ukraine topped Gauff 16-6 in winners and broke the American's serve 4 times in the 7-6-3, 6-1 victory Tuesday at the All England Lawn Tennis Club. Gauff said she couldn't find her footing and cited difficulties she faced in making the switch from Roland Garros clay courts to the grass surfaces of the third major of the season, but also gave credit to her first-round foe. "I feel like mentally, I was a little bit overwhelmed with everything that came afterwards," Gauff said. "So, I didn't feel like I had enough time to celebrate and also get back into it. It's the first time of this experience of coming off a win and having to play Wimbledon. I definitely learned a lot of what I would and would not do again." Gauff beat number 1 Aryna Sabalenka of Belarus for her first French Open title June 7th in Paris. She played one grass court match June 19th, before starting her run Tuesday in London. Yastremska, a 2024 Australian Open semi-finalist, was knocked out in the third round of the 2025 French Open, losing May 30th to number 19 Ludmila Samsonova of Russia. She then played 8 combined matches between 2 grass court tournaments leading into Wimbledon. "I would say the quick turnaround. Most of the seeds are going deeper in Roland Garros, and then you spend the long clay season, and you have to come and try to adjust to grass," Gauff said. "Some people play the week before. But it's not an easy quick turnaround. If you are going deep in Roland Garros, you are debating on, do I rush and play that week or take time and play the week before? It's a trick thing. It seems like second-ranked Carlos Alcaraz and number 6 Novak Djokovic are the ones to figure it out, and even Alcaraz had a tough first-round match. I think it's just a combination of everything. I don't know if it's just the weather conditions this year. I think the slam out of all of them is the most prone to have upsets just because of how quick the turnaround is from clays." With her loss, Gauff joined seeded number 3 Jessica Pegula of the United States, number 5 Zheng Qinwen of China, number 9 Paula Badosa of Spain, number 15 Karolina Machova of the Czech Republic, number 20 Yelena Ostapenko of Latvia, number 25 Magdalena Frek of Poland, number 26 Marta Kostyuk of Ukraine, number 27 Magda Linette of Poland, and number 32 McCartney Kessler of the United States as players who failed to advance to the second round of Wimbledon 2025. Meanwhile, 13 men's seeds are already out of the draw, setting a Wimbledon record and tying the all-time major mark from the 2004 Australian Open for the most seeded men's players to not advance to the second round of a Grand Slam. They were number 3 Alexander Zverev of Germany, number 7 Lorenzo Musetti of Italy, number 8 Holger Rune of Denmark, number 9 Daniil Medvedev of Russia, number 16 Francisco Cerundolo of Argentina, number 18 Hugo Humbert of France, and number 20 Alexei Popyrin of Australia. Also, number 24 Stefanos Tsitsipas of Greece, number 27 Denis Shapovalov of Canada, number 28 Alexander Bublik of Kazakhstan, number 30 Alex Michelsen of the United States, number 31 Talon Griekspoor of the Netherlands, and number 32 Matteo Berrettini of Italy. Gauff's loss was just her second first-round exit over her last 14 Grand Slam appearances, with 2 of her last 3 in Wimbledon openers. She won 2 titles and made 8 quarterfinal appearances, 5 semifinals, and 8 quarterfinals over her most recent 14 major tournament span. "Obviously, I'm not going to dwell on this too long because I want to do well at the U.S. Open," Gauff said. Maybe losing here in the first round isn't the worst because I have some time to reset, but it definitely sucks. Yastremska will face number 95 Anastasia Zakharova of Russia in the second round of Wimbledon. Zakharova, a Wimbledon qualifier, beat number 87 Victoria Azarenka of Belarus in her opener. Sabalenka, world number 5 Jasmine Paolini of Italy, number 13 Alina Svitolina of Ukraine, number 15 Diana Schneider of Russia, and Americans Madison Keys, number 8, and Amanda Anisimova, number 12, are among the top women in action in Wednesday's second round. Alcaraz of Spain, number 14 Alexander Rublev of Russia, and Americans Taylor Fritz, number 5, and Francis Tiafoe, number 12, are the top men playing Wednesday. Second round coverage airs from 6 a.m. through 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday on ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and ESPN+. Coverage of the round will continue at the same time Thursday on those platforms. Wimbledon had always been a sanctuary of tradition, strawberries and cream, crisp white attire, the polite murmur of crowds punctuated by gasps and applause. But this year, the calm of center court belied a storm rumbling beneath the surface. For Coco Gauff, the prodigy-turned-star now 21 and ranked world number 2, this year was supposed to be her Wimbledon, a trophy run that would silence doubters, honor her relentless rise, and fulfill the prophecy written when she stunned Venus Williams as a 15-year-old on this very grass. Instead, what followed was something altogether different, a spectacle of implosions and unexpected exits, and Gauff, visibly shaken, became the emblem of a tournament that saw not just rackets breaking, but composure too. A crumble in the spotlight. It was supposed to be a routine second-round match. Gauff, the favorite, squared off against a qualifier from Ukraine, unseeded and unknown to most, Daria Yastremska, whose career had been marked more by starts and stops than spotlight. But under the overcast sky and the watchful eyes of a packed crowd, something began to unravel. Gauff's serve, once a weapon, became a liability. Her footwork lost its rhythm. Her expressions turned from focused to frantic. By the end of the second set, she was staring blankly into her camp, mouthing words no one could quite read, but everyone understood. By the time she walked off the court, a 7-5, 6-3 loser in one of the most shocking upsets of the tournament, the headlines were already writing themselves. Mentally overwhelmed, Gauff would later admit, "I tried to push through, but I just didn't have it today. Not physically, but emotionally." The pressure cooker. Wimbledon 2025 was becoming infamous for its brutality, not from big serves or blistering forehands, but from the psychological warfare within. In just the first week, 6 top 10 players on the women's side had exited before the fourth round. Aryna Sabalenka retired mid-match, clutching her shoulder and shaking her head. Iga Swiatek, known for her steely focus, looked disoriented in her third-round match and lost to a 19-year-old wildcard from Britain, later citing unrelenting internal pressure. The pattern was unmistakable. On-court brilliance had been overshadowed by off-court burdens, expectations, scrutiny, social media noise, and the invisible weight of being always on. "It feels like we're performing on a knife's edge," said Maria Sakkari after her own early loss. "You don't just have to play the match. You have to carry your brand, your country, your following, your story." Gauff's burden of promise. Coco Gauff has always been more than just a tennis player. A vocal leader on social issues, a poised speaker, a media darling. Her career, even before winning the U.S. Open in 2023, had already placed her among the greats in waiting. But promise, when repeated enough times, becomes pressure. "She's carrying the expectations of an entire sport," said ESPN analyst Pam Shriver. "Every time Coco steps onto the court, it's not just about winning. It's about proving herself against a narrative." And this year, Wimbledon had been set up as her redemption arc. After a disappointing Roland Garros and a tough early exit in Rome, she was determined to reset. Her team had emphasized mental training. She meditated, journaled, cut back on social media. But nothing prepares a player for the suffocating silence of center court when the tide turns against them. Not just Coco, a collective collapse. What happened to Coco wasn't isolated. Across the grounds, players were breaking down mid-match. Ons Jabeur, usually a beacon of joy, left her press conference in tears. Daniil Medvedev, even on the men's side, which typically prides itself on stoicism, confessed, "I've never felt this mentally exhausted at a Grand Slam before." Theories circulated. Was it the compressed tour schedule? The added pressure from the upcoming Olympics? Or was it simply that today's players, in an era of hypervisibility and instant feedback, were facing a kind of psychological challenge previous generations never had? Sports science talks about physical peak, said Dr. Amelia Haynes, a performance psychologist who works with top-tier athletes. But we're in an era where mental load has never been heavier. And unlike a strained hamstring, it's invisible until it's not. The media mirror. One cannot ignore the role media plays, traditional and social alike. Gauff's loss was live-tweeted in real time by thousands. Clips of her error-strewn final game were instantly posted on TikTok and dissected in comment threads. A slow-motion video of her looking skyward after a double fault had already gone viral before she had time to change out of her kit. "It's cruel," said Billie Jean King in a post-match segment. "We want authenticity, but we punish vulnerability. These young players aren't machines." A turning point? The fallout from Wimbledon 2025 could mark a turning point for tennis, a reckoning of sorts. Already, conversations have shifted. Top coaches are emphasizing not just physical endurance, but psychological resilience. The WTA and ATP are reportedly in talks to expand access to mental health professionals on tour, and there's growing support for the idea of media-free days during Grand Slams, a concept once ridiculed, but now taken seriously. Gauff herself is likely to bounce back. Few doubt her talent or tenacity, but her loss here will live on, not as a symbol of failure, but of how much weight greatness carries. "This tournament broke something open," said Tracy Austin. "Not just for Coco, but for all of us watching. It's time we stop asking who's mentally tough enough, and start asking how we support their minds as much as their games." The quiet end and new beginnings. As the final weekend approaches, the tournament has lost many of its stars, but gained something else, perspective. New names have emerged. Young players, fearless and unburdened, are playing with freedom, not yet caught in the web of expectations. They remind us what sport can be when it's fun, not freighted. Coco Gauff, meanwhile, left the All-England club quietly, without fanfare. She signed a few autographs, smiled at a young girl in the crowd, and waved, not with triumph, but with grace. Her words lingered. Sometimes, the biggest win is learning how to lose. I'm still learning. And in that, perhaps, she gave us the most powerful moment of the tournament.